poem memorized. Birdie, birdie in the sky, why'd you do that in my eye? Oh, I'm glad cows can't fly. I didn't think that was bad for 4. We also realized he gets homeschooled, so my parents have a unique collection of poems that he's learning.
Sorry,
That's okay, not a problem. If we didn't know that there are people who are counting on watching this and counting on actually streaming it, I would just get started and say phooey on the electronics. But if you don't mind begging a few more moments. So how many of you are here through the day or taking off right after this? Taking off right after this? Here through the day? You're here through the weekend.
Well,
Oh, that's like the weekend. Okay. Yeah, I know it's hard to. Goodness, we were trying to remember to take out our trash last evening because we're like, really, it's already trash day. We can't be.
That's right.
Anybody? 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 Nothing.
Can you just tape it and then make it lifeless?
No, it's supposed to work for some reason. It disappears.
If it could just be taping us, as long as it's getting my sound, I'm not worried about the streaming.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Because I can't dance,
No, I can't tape.
and my singing is no better.
Nothing to do if you just switch the sound.
Okay. No. No, so a little story on that. We are a staff of 11 wonderful folks that come from a plethora of backgrounds, everything from born and bred Lancaster County to Pakistanis, to Brazilians, one German. Anybody else want to claim any other nationality? Yeah, well, I'm not certain what your nationality is. What is your nationality? Sheep?
Kentuckian.
Kentuckian,
Oh,
yeah.
right.
But we are a group with a really diverse set of skills, and most of our staff are quite good friends to get together outside of work hours. And however, we've learned in some cases that shouldn't happen. Yusuf and I took a ballroom dancing class with Ju and Vanessa, both ethnically Brazilian, who have skills at dancing and have skills with dancing with partners. I was sick a lot in second grade, so I lost the learning of my left and my right. And Yusuf is from Pakistan, where there is no such thing as couples dancing. So needless to say, it was a very ugly class. All right, I think we are about to get started. All right. But as you may or may not know, I am Jenny, and this is Yusuf. We are with Bunyad, and we are thrilled to have all of you here today. We love doing this presentation because it gives us face-to-face time with you, surrounded by roughly 2,000 carpets. So it gives us the time to talk about a few things that we feel are as important to impart, but also to hear from you. Because when we look over the years of ideas and tweaks and twiddles that have happened in the RUG program, it's hugely because of input that we get from all of you. That just helps to continue to make this RUG program stronger. So I really want to thank you for taking the time. I know you've been sitting an awful lot. We are not as cold as the meeting hall, and really if you do want to lay down, stretch out or whatever, our seats are a lot more comfortable than the chairs. So I just want to do some quick introductions. I know many of you might already know each other. First, I want to introduce the Bunyad staff, so you know who you might be emailing and talking with on the phone, even if you might not know them in person. And then if you don't mind just going around quickly introducing who you are and what store you're from, and why are you here? Why do you like rugs? All right, and perhaps how many are in your own home? So I'm Jenny, this is Yusuf. We have Jess, the king of cleaning and repairs, and a rug rep that you see out in the store floors. You have Lloyd, who is our newest staffer, part-timer here, who is sort of a jack of all trades, from representing Bunyad in a race against racism, dressed as a sheep, to helping out here on the sales floor and keeping us all lovely photographed. Laurel and Dave are two of our volunteers that joined us for a good portion of last summer. Laurel is doing research on a book about fair trade, so joined us, but when she said, we'll volunteer, we'll do anything, they really meant it. So everything from Children's Festival, Rug Festival, and unpacking trucks, they decided to join us this year for workshops, and I hear they're coming back a few more times this summer. We have Vanessa, our queen of accounting, in the back, where all things invoicing, accounting, and otherwise detail-oriented she coordinates with her sidekick, Peggy, who is not here today, but she is the feistiest 77-year-old you will ever meet, and she's the one that keeps all of our mailing lists, receipts coded, etc. We have Heike, the queen of our e-marketing, e-commerce. I believe many of you have probably been in contact with her when you're looking for Facebook items, e-cards, e-blasts, etc. Doug Dirks is also one of our newer staffers. I believe he probably needs no introduction as to where he has come from. We're tickled to have him here as our public relations specialist, talking about Bunyad out on the sales floors, but also going out in all capacities in a rug event. And he has just returned from his first long stint of rug events with Amr in Pella and Evanston. Then we have Doug Horst, who hails from former manager of the Evanston store, who is now here with us. He is helping us with some strategic planning and also going out and participating in rug events. Nancy is the incredibly perky voice that you mostly hear on the telephone. So if you call the rug room and you hear, hello, that is Nancy. She is our rug event coordinator that looks through a lot of the details for your rug event with you ahead of time, but also helps to anchor the effort of the sales floor. And finally, Amr Chalman is been with us now again for, yes, Amr. Amr is a king of repairs. So if a rug comes in with issues, he's the guy that's right on it, as well as heading out on rug events, and happily our other Urdu speaker in the staff, so assists us when we're working in communications. So if I could start over here. Did I miss any of our staff that I'm totally nuts? No. Good. If I start over here, you just want to tell me who you are, what store you come from, and why you're here today.
All right, my name is Kat. I'm from the Harper's Point store in Cincinnati. I am here because we're having, well, this is my first time here to the Rug Room, and it's exciting. And we're having our Rug event in September.
Awesome. Awesome.
Darlene Rormet, the over Cincinnati and Harper's Point store. And I'm here because I love the rugs and always looking for ways to have a better event.
Fantastic.
I'm Pat Coyne. I'm a volunteer and board member from Cincinnati, and volunteer for about 9 years. I've helped with a few rug events, but I always can learn more, and I just love the rugs.
Fantastic.
I'm Britt Wise. I'm the manager of the O'Brienville store. I'm here to learn more about rugs.
And are you using the same board over 2 stores? Okay, I thought so. I just wanted to confirm that. Amy.
Oh, Amy Mullenhoff. I'm actually from the Ephrata store. I wanted to learn more about what Michael Patriots do over here this quarter. So that's why I'm here stopping in.
It's funny you came today and not yesterday when we were unpacking a truck and trailer. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Debbie. Volunteer in the Richmond store, brand new board member, and I'm interested in learning about the rugs.
Fantastic.
And me too. I'm Sheila Davis. I'm a volunteer at Refueling, and I love. As they used to be called Oriental rugs. I don't know if they're still called that now.
They still are, and that's something we were just talking about with Overland Park. We'd love to get away from it because it isn't exactly the most politically correct term, but on the other hand, it is what gets the point across in the least amount of verbiage. We were talking about a couple of stores I know want to talk about maybe pushing the envelope on what else we can do this year and sort of being a testing ground. So
Right.
that's true. We still
And I
call
have 3 rugs.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Lynn Fidali from the Laguna Beach store. New store, hoping to be here next month. My husband and I are part of the floor that founded that store. And official merchandiser and store.
And I'm
And we're
Frank.
having our first book, so I'm sorry.
Awesome.
Spring.
I'm Tony, and again, we're from the Redondo Beach store just outside Los Angeles, and I'm here because I love my wife. She brought me here.
Oh.
And you are also very smart, gentlemen.
Yes, that's true. Happy
No.
wife, happy life.
He's also our greeter.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Ju, you are not
Both
going
of
to
them.
Redondo Beach. I can already hear way too much of Tony and you, so it would be a hilarious mix. Now, to be clear, we love all rug event stores equally, but if you do hear a lot of our staff drawing straws and like duking it out over who goes to Redondo Beach, you will understand they back up to a gorgeous beach. Now, not that Cincinnati isn't beautiful. And in the back. Yeah.
Jim Brunnett, I'm with the National Store. And so February when I was up here for training, I had wanted to do with the cat rugs and be involved in them. So it's all about rugs.
Fantastic. Thanks for coming.
Kara Miller from the Harrisonburg store. And we participate with the rug events and just like keep bringing more.
Wonderful. Thanks for coming.
I'm Jessie Hess, also from the Harrisonburg store, and I'm pretty a new hire to 10,000 Villages, so I'm here to learn some more.
And what is your position with Harrisonburg?
Outreach.
Outreach. Oh, wonderful. I had heard you were coming, but didn't know we were. Awesome. Well, thank you for introducing yourselves. It's great to hear sort of the different experiences and knowledge that we have in the room. What we'd like to do a little bit today is a quick look at some of the really exciting things that are happening in Pakistan. I want to do a little bit of housekeeping, a plethora of little tidbits that I just want to talk to you about. And then we're very, very thrilled to have our special guest here, Ken Mueller from Inkling Media and from TELUS 360. I don't have an official title for him because I don't think he really fits into one title. Ken is an incredibly energetic, resourceful, hilarious, well plugged in, and cheap guy who says social marketing doesn't have to be that hard and can be fun and doesn't have to be that expensive either. And all those things really resonated with me when I took one of his classes at a local art and design school. And let's just say I have enjoyed his knowledge and his friendship ever since. So we are tickled to have him back again this year. So if you are we watching it from home, boys and girls? Okay, so if we are watching it from home, if you would like to be in the room with us a little bit more remotely, you can join us as we're streaming it. If you have any questions, you can email them into info@rugs.10,000villages.com. You can message us on Facebook or you can tweet us. I just feel this is important to go through every year. They're the same screens every year, but I think it's important because I always find folks go, really? We have 2 year-round stores in the US? Yes, we do. You are sitting in the anchor store, the head of Bunyad Rugs, where at any given time we have at least 1,500 carpets ranging in size from 2x3 to 10x14. But in this past year, the Souderton store renovated their store and opened up with a collection of around 125 carpets. Souderton is located about an hour and a half northeast of us and has been really enjoying their nearly first year of being a year-round rug store. There are also 2 Canadian year-round stores, one in the west in Winnipeg and one in the east in Oakville, Ontario. Why I think it's important is, I don't know about you, but we hand out that rug brochure like water. And we find it's really important because if folks, let's say, look at an Oriental rug coaster that they're selling in your store and you say, here, I just want to make certain you know our rug event's coming up, and take this brochure. There's a listing of our year-round locations and a listing of all the rug events. Our customer base travels like there's no tomorrow. And I can't tell you how many times when I ask folks, how did you hear that we carry carpets? And they'll tell me, well, I was vacationing in Tallahassee, or I was vacationing, out in Pasadena, and I picked up a brochure. I'm actually from Toronto, but my sister lives in Winnipeg. And so when And we have sold many a rug that has a reference from a store that they have found while they're on vacation. So we find it's important that you know where the year-round locations are. We also do 31 rug events in 2015, 21 in the US, and 10 throughout Canada. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Now what we'd like to do, let's see if we are good at this. I'll let you get yours. We want to talk a little bit about how we measure success. Oh, I can't walk away from this.
That's fine. It's picking up.
It is, okay. For us at Bunyad, how we measure success is not necessarily, how we measure the success of a rug event is certainly not necessarily by how much you sell. It is by how much traffic comes through your doors. But what we really, really celebrate and what we know and how we, our benchmarks for showing that we are growing and doing the right thing is when we're able to add more artisan families. And in the coming months, we are looking to start a new area in what 10 years ago was in rubble thanks to the earthquake. And Yusuf's going to be telling us more.
Thank you. My name is Yusuf, and I'm in charge of the rug program. And I get to travel to visit many artisans and have the privilege to work with many artisan groups. And visiting artisans in the villages is always a wonderful experience, not only because it's also where my heritage is, but most importantly, you walk into the village, and it doesn't matter where you've been, you're still treated like a child. And if anything, you walk in, the people will tell you, now you know I've known your father for this many years, and I have great respect for your father, but you have to earn yours. So I think it's wonderful because as you work with artists, you realize that the abilities, the experience they carry. Every rug you see here at 10,000 Villages, in the store and elsewhere, those rugs carry such a long tradition. They carry quality that is unquestionable. We've had people bring rugs back to us about 28 plus years later, and these rugs look just virtually new. And sometimes they're bringing because they want us to clean them, or they even want to match the rug to the next rug they're buying. So there's various ways they will come through. Over the years, there has been growth has taken place in the rug program. I remember when there were only 200 families that were part of the program, and today there are 850 families that are part of the rug program, and more than 125 villages. I would say maybe we need to look at the current number and get the accurate number, but that's just roughly the idea. But the artisans are pretty much from north to south, from the northeast to the southwest. So it's a very large territory. But one of the things that I, even as I travel to different villages, I'm amazed by that how many places you go, the artisan will tell us. Not many people from the city or from other parts of the world have been to our village. Because sometimes these villages could be 20 homes, down to like 4 homes, where artisan says, I need a loom, I have the ability, I can make rugs, but I can't find a job otherwise. So reaching out to the artisan is always our goal. And when you look at these rugs, as we travel to different places, I always see excitement, having been to some different places. Today, as I look through these photos, that earthquake took place in Pakistan in 2005. Yesterday we were talking about Nepal tragedy that is still trying to figure out how long would it take. For me, I haven't been involved with that project where in a matter of 16 seconds, 84,000 people lost their life in a matter of 16 seconds. And 2.5 million were left homeless. And even today, I read news about people still struggling to get back to their life. Some lost their homes and never got back to, and some still trying to figure out where they want to live anymore. So there's challenges will last many years. And in Pakistan, that was a very devastating because the area was very large and also very remote into the mountains. just about everywhere we went, we saw that there were people still trying to figure out, after 2 years, where to be, and just all kinds of images that you can capture to see the destruction. In 2006, working with NCC US and 10,000 Villages, both US and Canada, we started a building project. That meant helping families build their homes. One of the challenges we found in that process, and we were not there to do rebuilding, we were there to help families provide basic resources to live through for the rest of the year. That meant like food supplies and basic needs. As we went there, those families said, look, everybody's supplying us food, but what's not happening is, where are we gonna live? We're living in tents, and nobody wants to start rebuilding. And one of the challenges was, most families who had lived there more than 2,000 years, no one family had the clear documents who owned the land, including family members all of a sudden decided that that small patch of land they had, now every brother and sister wanted to build their own home. So the dispute of such kind led many organizations to just sit back until some of the conflicts get resolved. Well, the problem was, before you know, another tragedy hits, most of these organizations have to move on. So we talked to the community members. We said, look, if you guys don't start something, people are gonna go. So you're gonna be left with nothing. So we were surprised how much, when you talk to people, we had to hike some hills. And I can tell you that I've never hiked any mountains in my life. But we had to climb those mountains. It was easy to go up and much harder to come down, because we're talking Himalayas in that region. And people walking with their sandals climbing up. So, you know, it's surprising how hard and how tough people were. And especially when you have 65-year-old walking in front of you without any stick or anything, that was challenging. And coming down was even more. So this project started with the idea that we're gonna build 16 homes in a community. And we picked the most families who needed it the most, who we knew that even other organizations come, most likely they may not get picked because there were some challenges there. So we said, okay, let's start this project in this place. And once that gets started, we had our families actually help the next family. And the goal was to recycle 75% of the raw materials from the same ground, from the old house. And we did that and got the whole community involved. This rebuilding happened. As soon as these houses were built, the Swiss Red Cross moved ahead and said, look, can we use your design? And tell us, how did you do it? Within 2 to 3 years, I was surprised going back how many houses were built and how much reconstruction had taken place as more and more organizations moved in and got the job done. So that was the rebuilding. One of the things that we constantly found as we were visiting artisans, these communities, they kept saying, true, the rebuilding would happen, people would provide us some food for the next 2 years, medicine and everything. But we worked, before this, we had jobs. And one of the things in this region has been there for centuries is tourism, either trade tourism or just in the recent years, tourism through people coming from China and going down to India, taking bus route, even bikes and bicycles and just about everything. Because this is a beautiful landscape. But the problem is the tourism had dried up after 9/11. So people who were working even with an organization called Sungi, which is a member of WFTO, they even left the program there. And they were working with 38 women doing embroidery and jewelry and other work. So while we were there, these 38 women came forward and said, look, we have no job possibilities in this region. Men, usually after the tourism season, they leave and they work somewhere else in hotel industry or find jobs elsewhere. but we can't leave the villages. But this is our livelihood or a way to feel productive. Is there any way something could start in our village? And we actually approached the Sunday folks and asked them if they will start something. We waited for 2 years to see if they would do anything. They haven't done anything. And they finally said, no, we're not coming to this region because our focus has changed. It's a pretty big organization, and it's half funded by the UN. So they have other educational and health programs going on that they're focusing on. So this area of town called Jarate is the village where we focus on. This gives you a rough idea of the climate. This region gets quite a bit of snow, and it's actually a valley called Naran, about 4 or 5 miles wide to 165 miles long, and has its own climate. This is where the Himalayas meet the Karakorams. And if you think Himalayas are taller, the Karakorams are even taller than that. There are 7 mountains in that region that are more than 7,000 to 8,000 meters high. So by June usually is when the spring hits this region. If you go there, let's say anywhere between April to May, that's when they're just cutting through the glaciers to clear the road. So the trade is very limited. It's very seasonal. So nobody's going to go there and set up industry, and that hasn't happened for years. In the past, there has been NGOs like German NGOs or others who set up some programs, let's say even mushroom growing to some fish hatchery, as well as some green beans. So some of those basic projects have been started, but no industry has ever gone there. So our goal has been trying to find ways to create jobs in that region. We tried other things, nothing worked. We finally said, look, rugs is the only thing we know that would work. And not too far from that area, about roughly 50 miles, we already had artisans that were making a certain type of rugs. So we asked people, like, are you interested in making rugs? That is where we can create some jobs. So starting this June, there will be 10 looms that would become operational. The village community came forward. They not only helped to build the center, they also provide a lot of the raw materials. So the community will own the center. The community will help to run the center. That means people can come from the valley and learn the trade of rug making. That means people can then have a loom in their home going forward. And the best part is this will be a job that can sit in their home 12 months out of the year, an equal opportunity for both men and women. And this will be the first time ever 12 months permanent opportunity for anybody in that valley. So this will be starting in June. By August, we hope it will be fully operational. It shows some of the things that people have done. So as you can see, the raw material, they've been saving all the wood. A lot of that wood is from the destruction from 2006 earthquake. So they saved all that wood, and now they're building doors and windows and everything. What amazes me that they were not only built those doors, they even built the folding table from that wood as well. So people are very skilled in that region. I was very surprised. Not only that, I find it, there are people who would, sorry, the slides went a little off. But anyway, this is what the training center would look like in roughly. The people on the left side, the gentleman, his name is Rafakat. He and his wife have volunteered to go and work with the community. His wife, as they got married, was already a rug knotter. And that's common among many communities. And so they have volunteered to go for 1 year and help people. So what's going to happen down the road, different families will take turn and work with the local community and train them how to make rugs. As I said, both men and women would work. And to me, when I see this rug making, I think the one thing that comes to me, a picture that I saw last year as I was in the villages. On the left side, you see the woman has a child on her lap. That is a common sight to me when you walk into the village home. that people can have a job at the same time, continue their daily lives. A child was sleeping and she was finishing her work. I mean, what an empowerment, and what a way to keep the culture and everything intact, especially the family values, which are very important to people. So we're hoping this project will start, but already in that region, people are very skilled with weaving to cloth making and spinning the wool. They already do many wool shawls because in that region the sheep herd are very common. So you have the local wool supply. So nothing that they would have to get from outside. It will be pretty much local materials. So not only the artisans who will make rugs, it will also be people who are herding sheep will benefit from this. So once this project gets going, and hopefully there will be other industries will spawn from that. To me, these are some of the examples where what the landscape looks like, but at the same time, I see people already are capable of doing things. The reason I show you the walnut picture, because that's one of the ingredients. The shell, which is on top of this, already gets used for natural dyes. And the best part is that the walnut shell drops down on the ground on its own. So the fruit is harvested separately. So you're not taking here the English walnut, the whole thing drops down. You have to get it off the ground. With the Persian walnut, the shell drops separately. So people already have a industry of a lot of the ingredients, especially if they choose to use natural dyes. So I'm looking forward to that. What comes out of this region will be a wonderful thing. Thank you.
This next little segment is going to sound like a 4-year-old wrote it, because we're going to change pace and change direction fairly quickly, but it's sort of my catch-all moment before we head into all social media. As you know, you can be messy on these carpets. Tony, what have you dropped on any of your carpets?
Most recently, a piece of pie.
Piece of pie, cherry, blueberry?
Chocolate.
Chocolate, okay. Anyone else?
Wine.
Wine. So we do drink. All right, fine. Anything else really good? I've done a gallon of kale soup. I know, my father asked me why was I making kale soup, but a gallon of kale soup. Our dog, anyone's dogs? Solids, liquids? Okay, got it.
Candle wax.
Candle wax, yeah, there's someone in this room who decided to move one of my 3-wick candles burning for about 3.5 hours, and he tripped. Mr. Mello, and the candle wax went everywhere. As we know, these things can clean up incredibly, and everything has come out, except for the fact that I'm going to point it out because I see Level Ground sort of peeking around in the back. Level Ground coffee mixed in with Lancaster County cream, poured onto a carpet, full cup, because I can't ever do anything in a small quantity, and left to sit there for about a week. That doesn't come out as easily. It will come out, but let's just say our kings of cleaning are having to be a little creative on that and are now looking into altering the pH balance of water to assist. These rugs clean up beautifully with really just simple soap and water for most cleaning. This is one of our favorite quotes that's from a customer in Canada, that he had, you know, he has 4 kids, actually 2 of them twins, all of them high energy, and knew how durable these rugs were, so would wash them themselves. And he said, you know, it still freaks me out that the rug looks as good as the day that I bought it. For years, we have been giving people, talking them off of ledges when their dogs have done things to the carpets, and we've been telling them how easy to just grab the simple soap near you. But we've always wished we could have a soap that we felt comfortable selling here at the Ephrata store to make it sort of a nice little addition to a rug sale. This past year at the FTF conference, we were introduced to Dr. Brunner's. And the funny thing is, it's not my first introduction to Dr. Brunner's. I've had Dr. Brunner on my shelf for forever and forever. After the tour, though, I think I got them. a lot easier and realized what a perfect synergy it was between our rugs and their soap. Their soap is an all Castile soap, basically simple ingredients, a huge amount of them fairly traded. So in the next week, we will start selling Dr. Brunner's soap here at the Ephrata store. We will also be bringing it to your rug event during your rug event for customers to purchase. I'm going to send around, please help yourself to a sample of it. We feel it's important because we often tell customers how easy it is. We're tickled that we have a soap that we feel so good about, smells so good as well. And after our presentation, our formal presentation today, head into the back where Jesse and Amr will be cleaning 2 carpets. One of them just standard dirt from a local family that we know who's getting guests next weekend and had this in front of their fireplace. Their dog tends to use it when we don't get home in time. Oops, it's us. When we don't get home in time, but that's just standard dirt. The second rug that's back there is to show you what we have to do when we have to throw the book at a rug. We dropped it is our living room rug. We dropped a glass of wine on it 5 months ago. Now you could say we were lazy, or you could say it was research and development. I'll let you choose. We let it sit there. It was a considerable glass of wine that went over. And we want to show you, it's not going to come out instantaneously, but we want to show you sort of our list of things that we would begin to throw at it, including bleach, that it will pull out the stain, but not pull out the color. Sorry, how many of you know about the manual? How many of you read the manual? How many of you memorize the manual? Okay, no memorizations. Okay, well that was an extra Dr. Brunner's sort of soap if you had memorized it. I just want to bring it up because it is not a perfect manual, but it is where we have everything that is to help better promote and plan your event. So everything from promotion schedule, key principles in hosting an event, what a week of a rug event looks like, a lot of our materials. How many of you go, wow, I just wish I had more pictures to post on Facebook, to post to my website. I just wish I had more artisan pictures and maybe stories. They're on the blog, or on the manual website, under promotions, under artisan images, under room images. There's a lot there that if you haven't had time to go through it, please do. If you have new staff, new volunteers, have them go through it as well. That's just to make the point. Also, last year we talked about our private blog on the manual site. This past year, we launched a public blog on the rug website. The private blog is a time for us to just have discussions with you all hosting rug events, sometimes silly, sometimes not silly, but a way that we want to easily communicate with you. Our English may not always be 100%, and we may have really crazy dudes doing funny things, but it's our way of communicating with you. It is not something that if you read something on the private blog that you go, wow, my customers ought to know this. Don't share the private blog unless it is to your staff and volunteers. It's not written for the average public to use, but our public blog is, and our public blog is at rugs.10,000villages.com/blog, where we're trying to have a host of things, both artisan related, production related. We talked about going to the FTF conference, what it's meant to us. We put up artisan stories. That's where we want to be sharing from. One of the things that, how many of you went to Chris Frenwick's talk yesterday on digital content? All right. All right, well, one of the things she said that I thought was really, really good, and I'm not going to steal the thunder from Ken, but the idea of owning your content. And so it's great to put stuff on Facebook, but it's even better to put stuff on Facebook that's directing them back to your website or the rug website or the rug public blog. And so when you see stories on the blog that you think it would be of your listening public's interest, please share them on it. And as I said earlier, we really rely on you to have thoughts and to say, hey, this may sound nuts, but do you think we could ... We get a lot of energy and ideas from all of you. How many of you use yard signs to promote your rug event? No? Harrisonburg, you do. I believe you did a while ago. Cincinnati, many of the stores that I talked to this week, they swear by them. I will tell you, the first time that the Ithaca store came to us and said, I want to do yard signs, could you help us maybe do a different design? I almost fell backwards, or like the toes sort of curled like the Wicked Witch of the West in Wizard of Oz. I couldn't believe we were thinking of doing yard signs to sell a $3,500 or $5,000 rug. Yard signs. They are the best advertising avenue ever. Most of our stores order between 50 and 100 yard signs. I can hand you a whole list of stores that can give you anecdotal and sales data that have come off of yard signs. Would have never thought of it if not thanks to the Ithaca store. Our Victoria store used to hold rugs year round and now hosts an annual Oriental rug event. And what I love about them is they know that there's a lot of stuff coming out on Facebook that is not catching people's attention. And so they took, when they had their rug event going on, they took their rugs for a tour of Victoria and basically went through their town, posed with the carpets, and then very artfully tagged the different places that they were at and said, you know, look here, I'm at, you know, such and such fish fry down at Inner Harbor. So glad the rugs, you can drop anything on. The fish fry place thought it was a hoot and shared it onward. The folks at Victoria, the tourism companies were enjoying this as well. Plus, they got such great customer feedback from something as silly and zany. And then just recently, the Denver store called us and said, hey, I am going into some media interviews. I'm just trying to figure out how else I can bring these rugs to life for the TV interview. But I don't have that many rugs. They're not going to have the ability to zoom in. You probably can't send us a loom. What could we do? And we said, well, let us all put our heads together and think what we can come up with. How many of you have seen the Knott Brothers video online? Okay, then, Yusuf, did you leave that open? Let me indulge you or embarrass us, one or the other. So we decided that many times when we talk about how an Oriental rug is knotted, we talk about either it being a Senna knot, an asymmetrical knot, or a Turkish knot. But do our customers really get what it means to tie a knot? So we thought we would simulate a warp with two of our staff, and then me being the rug knotter. The Denver store, we sent this off as just a prototype saying, hey, what do you think? Could you guys do this? They ran with it. They were doing it in their store ahead of time, trying to get people excited. They'd have little contests. Is it crazy? Yeah. Is Dr. Brunner's magic soap foaming machine just absolutely weird? Yes, but you know what? I have been telling so many people about Dr. Brunner's soap because I had such a good time watching my kid foam himself in the soapy suds. You know, and so to be able to have fun with a product, even if it is so atypical for this level of product, I think is really important so that customers realize they can enter in wherever they feel comfortable. And remember that these aren't all done by hand. So let me just quickly play this. True? I lost sound.
You don't have sound. You never told me to do.
Okay. I had sound earlier.
Give me 2 seconds, you can get sound.
We won't worry about it. I'll just show you a couple seconds of it. What we like about this and what we've found is useful is that different stores have already said to us, oh, you know, I was thinking maybe I could do this as a staff training event. Actually, you know, maybe I could do this as we'll run a contest ahead of time. It's on the blog. It will get you over to the blog. Yes, and I have to say we have some wonderfully creative and zany staff who are willing to do things at a moment's notice. So all this to say, if you have ideas that you go, hey, what if? Don't hesitate to bring them up to us. We can't promise instantaneous feedback. We can't promise that we won't laugh at your idea. But most of the great ideas that are, don't worry about it. But most of the ideas that have come from you, because you are the ones that are on the pulse of your community, and we know every community is different. We know some things work everywhere. Yes, if you want to do an Oriental rug design down on the beach and we'll color it in with various things, Redondo Beach, we'll start to humor that idea. What I'd like to do is just switch gears now and continue on with social media and how to use it to better maximize your store's reach as well as your rug events reach. And to that, I will pass you over to Ken Mueller.
Sorry, we have to get someone to be afterward. Sorry.
Not a problem. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
I won't take it personally. How many of you saw me last year when I was here? Oh, good. I'm only going to bore two of you. This portion of the presentation will sound like a 4-year-old presented it. And I can also attest to the fact that Jenny is over there drinking water right now. She hasn't spilled it yet. She is able to consume liquids. She doesn't just throw them on carpets like the coffee and the wine and everything else. So that's my wife saying you don't have a drinking problem. All right. Great way to start here. I got to stand here, I guess, because I have to stay by the microphone. I don't stand still very well. Last year, and for those of you who are here, some of this you have heard before, but I repeat some of it for a reason and for those who weren't here. Last year, about 1.5 years ago, I got a phone call. And the phone call was from my daughter. And she was on her way home from work and she was in tears. And she explained to us that her car had died in the middle of the highway during rush hour. And when I say in the middle of the highway, I mean the middle of the highway. And not only that, she said, it's on fire. First question, you're out of your car, right? Yeah, okay. So a number of things unfolded. I went to find her, couldn't get to her, but the police officer brought her to me. She created a traffic jam that lasted well over an hour. If anyone who's local, it was on Route 30, right in front of where like Costco and Best Buy is. Pretty scary situation. And when I got home, I got to figure this out.
You have to point it at the projector.
Am I pressing the right button? Just use this here.
Just use the arrow, right arrow.
This one here?
What do you mean should be there?
Okay.
There you go.
There we go. So I got home and I posted on Facebook. I said, so if you're stuck in traffic for a long time on Route 30 near the Greenfield exit heading west and saw fire and smoke, that was my daughter's car that died and caught fire. Thankfully, she got out in time and was safe thanks to the unnamed man who helped her out and stayed there until the police and firemen arrived. Thanks to the police officer who brought her to me when I couldn't get on the highway to get to her. In other words, we've just gone from being a 4-car family to a 2-car family because another one of our cars died. This will be fun. As you see, I got 73 likes and I got 79 comments on there. And things went rather quickly on this because what happened was people started commenting who I didn't even know. Some of whom were like, oh, I was in there, glad your daughter's safe. And, you know, I was in that traffic jam. And people started posting pictures, people I didn't even know. And I was even able to connect through someone who knows someone who knows someone with the person who actually got her out of the car. And within that moment, we became friends on Facebook. And I thanked him privately in a message and said, thank you. And he was a truck driver who happened to be driving by, saw the hood of her car bubbling, and he got her out of the car. He lives an hour away from us. And so, you know, it was just this weird connection that social media allowed us to do. And someone, I'm going to have to use this, I guess. Someone posted this picture. These are people I didn't know. This was posted by someone who was able to take it and This is a woman who actually went over to my daughter and gave her a hug. And she said, oh, that was me, because I don't know who it is. And she posted this picture online. There's another picture. This is the one that really got me. I almost broke down in tears when someone posted this picture, because I didn't see any of this. All I saw was a plume of smoke in the distance as I was driving by. But I look at all those flames, and well, this is the end result. That's the car. My daughter's actually leaning in there. The one thing that didn't get destroyed, the car's total, obviously. The one thing that didn't get destroyed was the one thing I was kind of hoping was destroyed. My daughter's CD collection. She likes show tunes and musicals. I'm not a big fan, but she was actually in there rescuing those and pulling them out. A little bit of water damage to some, but we dried them all off, and she's still listening to Broadway things and stuff. And then something else interesting happened. As I looked at, why am I still trying that? The comments, my friend Amber there in the middle, she says, Eek, Mike, her husband, texted to say he was stuck in that traffic. Crazy to think it was your daughter. Also a good lesson for the rest of us on patience and understanding. P.S. So happy she's okay. You know, so her own husband was stuck in traffic, and it went from being this anonymous, annoying traffic jam to something different when he finally knew what it was. And I tell you this story because to me, this shows the power of two things, the power of social media and the power of storytelling. I could have gotten up here and I could have just said, okay, let's talk about Facebook. Let's talk about Twitter. Let's talk about blogging, you know, whatever. And I could have put you to sleep. And hopefully I won't do that. But, you know, really, I like to tell stories. And that's when I blog, I like to tell stories. And where I work, I tell stories about the place that I work. And the reason stories are important, and this should really hit home with you folks, is that every one of these rugs has a story. And, you know, Yusuf was talking about some of that and just, you know, what goes on in making these and the stories when you hear about places where there's been earthquakes and other things going on. And every one of these rugs that anybody takes home has a story, and storytelling is incredibly powerful, and especially as we do it on social media. Stories help us remember things. You know, if I just tell you facts, you may not remember them, but if I tell you a story, you'll remember that story. And it's kind of like the whole idea of parables and how we can illustrate things through stories. Stories also add an element of entertainment. And when we're entertained, we learn better. Think about the things you learned as a kid. A lot of times they were through stories or through songs and a way that we remembered those things. And stories also add an element of humanity and connection. They allow us to connect. And I connected with a lot of people I didn't even know here. And Amber's a good friend of mine, and she's one of these friends that always, no matter what she posts, as silly as it is or as wonderful as it is, it always makes me think. And just, you know, her little post there really made me think. And stories also allow us to show our passion. One of the things that I'm driven by is when someone is passionate about something. And it doesn't even have to be anything that I'm interested in. So if someone is a fan, I have a friend who is from India originally, and she is a fan of cricket. I didn't understand cricket. She Skyped with me one day and explained the rules of cricket to me, and I became a fan because of her passion. And I love watching cricket online because it went from, I didn't even understand the scoring of it. It went from this like bizarre thing. And I like weird sports. I also like curling, for those of you who have Canadian connections. I work with a bunch of Irishmen, and there's a sport over there called hurling, and I now have a little bit more understanding of it. Does anybody know what hurling is? It sounds really bad, doesn't it? It's like what someone does on the carpet. No, hurling is like a cross between hockey, baseball, and lacrosse, with no pads and a hard ball and sticks that you swing around. It's kind of weird, but the Irishmen are tough. But you know, when someone has passion about something, I'm attracted to it, even if I have no clue what they're talking about. And stories allow us to do that. The other thing that this story here tells us is the power of images. And I want you to remember that. Those pictures, I could tell you, oh, my daughter's car caught on fire, yada, yada, yada. But when you see those pictures, it brings it home. And that one particular picture with the flames under the car there, I almost broke down in tears seeing that, thinking, okay, my daughter was 5 minutes away from being in that fireball. And pictures, really, images have a lot of power there. And that's, you know, one of the things that Jenny talked about, you know, with their manual and with their blog, is that there's a lot of images on there that help you tell stories. And you can even take pictures yourself and use them on social media to tell stories. You know, someone buys a rug, it's a rug. but when they take it home and they put it in their home, they can take pictures and then send them to you that you can use, because that rug now has a new home with furniture around it, with children or families or pets that are using those rugs. And that adds to the story. It's the next chapter in the story of that rug. Those images are things you can use if you encourage your customers to do that. Connecting. Social media is the power of connecting to people. I have met more people. I recently have connected with a number of my old high school classmates. I mean, I'm old. Social media did not exist when I was in high school or college or even after. It took a long time. But I can reconnect with people that I haven't seen in 30 some years. And I feel like, you know, and some of them are people I didn't even hang out with in high school, but I now know them, and it's like we connect on all different levels. Social media allows us to connect on a very, very real way. The other thing with social media is the idea of shared experiences. There were a number of people that I knew. I was shocked at how many of my friends were actually in that traffic jam. I was kind of proud of my daughter for creating that, actually, despite the loss of the car and the danger involved. But the idea is that social media allows us to connect with people in very, very real ways. And to me, that's really exciting, because we can create relationships, and you have the ability to do that with your customers through social media. And that's something that you can do on a regular basis. And finally, the idea of changing perceptions. Social media gives us the tools to change perceptions. In that one statement that Amber made right there, she took, I mean, think about the traffic jams you've been in. A number of you said you're from Richmond. Is that correct? Who's from Richmond? Did someone say Richmond? They left. I was going to use them as an example. That stretch of 95 between DC and Richmond. If you've ever been on that and you're in a traffic jam, you're not sitting there happy. Okay, you're grumbling under your breath. You're wondering what idiot did what up ahead. Well, that idiot in this case was my daughter, and she was an idiot. She had no control over what happened in that car. That wasn't her fault. And suddenly Amber, you know, for Mike, who was probably annoyed he wasn't going to get home for dinner, and Mike's a laid back guy, he's really, you know, easygoing. He probably doesn't get annoyed easily. Suddenly, knowing who it was that was causing that traffic jam and what the circumstances were changed his perception. And he wouldn't have known that if it hadn't been for me posting on social media, his wife seeing it, him texting to her, her responding, oh, that's Ken's daughter. It changes our perceptions, and we can use the power of social media to really change some of those perceptions and tell stories. In terms of stories, this is where I work now, is a place called TELUS 360. It is the most unique building you're going to find in Lancaster County. I don't know how long you people are here, but if you're here long enough, we have a really cool show tonight. We have some great stuff tomorrow night going on. We are three or four things. We are an Irish pub, which means we have a bar and food, a restaurant, and we are a music venue. We are one of the more unique music venues. We have a room that can hold up to 550 people. We have a lounge area that's really cool with a whiskey bar. If you like whiskey, we have beer on tap. We have a green roof that we actually have a bar and can serve food up there. It's just a really unique thing. So we have a bluegrass band from Carolina, from the Carolinas coming and playing tonight. Tomorrow night we have a reggae band playing. There's all different kinds of music always happening there in a very, very large and unique building, because the other thing that's unique about it is that everything in our building has a story. The guy who started our TELUS 360 is from Ireland. He's been here in the US for 25 years. He used to be part of a construction company that specialized in making things out of reclaimed, reused materials, and mostly wood. Nothing in our building is new. As a result, everything in our building has a story. So that's the bar there. When you look at that, interesting enough. But when you look a little bit closer, that's the back of the bar. Those two sides are doors on both sides. Those doors are over 200 years old, from a very famous Irish Catholic church in Dublin. And it was a church that fought the anti-Catholic laws that they had over there. They actually had a bell. They were forbidden from ringing on Sundays, and they actually rang the bell. And like a story you're familiar with, the bell cracked, and it became famous as a symbol for, fighting the anti-Catholic laws over in Ireland. And it's their Liberty Bell over there. So these doors were on this building. It was a theater at one time. It was a church. It's been a lot of different things, and we ended up with them, and it became the back of our bar. The bar itself is from County Waterford in Ireland. It's over 100 years old. And County Waterford is where our owner, Joe, is from. So everything in our building has stories. One of the things about Lancaster County that you may not know, for those of you who are not from here, is that we are basically the epicenter of every rock concert that goes out on tour. There's a place a little bit to the west of us, Lidditz. It's Clare Brothers and Tate Towers. That basically anybody that goes out on tour is a big rock concert, whether it's the Rolling Stones, U2, Taylor Swift. That set for their tour and the sound is designed and built here in Lancaster, and they come and they practice and then they go out on tour. As a result, all of the audio equipment and staging that we have in our music venue is from them and was wired by the guy who's now out on tour doing sound for AC/DC. So we have speakers in there from AC/DC tours and U2 tours. The stage in our back room has been used from everybody from Billy Joel, Elton John, Madonna, one of our new local favorites, Lady Gaga, Rolling Stones. That stage, when you're performing on that stage, you're performing on the same stage they performed on. So there's a lot of stories, and we love telling those stories, and we tell those stories via social media, and we tell those stories via our blog, and we tell those stories via video. We're putting together a little video tour to explain to people where all this stuff came from. And we have stuff from Midtown Manhattan, from a building that was a polio clinic owned by the Rockefellers. We have stuff from Charlottesville. We have wood from all over we have a bar that is a tree made from wood from Africa, and it's got a big hole in it from a lightning strike. And we love telling those stories. Your job is to tell stories, because these rugs and the things that you sell in your stores, all the fair trade items, have stories. And that's the purpose of what you do. It's not just something that's slammed on a shelf like in a Walmart or a Target or some other place. You're selling things that are meaningful and have stories. Technology is incredibly important to us and becoming more important. Here's an interesting statistic. You know that more people actually own, and you may not like this statistic, I don't really like it, more people own smartphones and cell phones than own toothbrushes. I read this online, it's gotta be true. It was in like official statistics and things like that. We're living our lives online more. There used to be a time where people would talk about, well, I know them online, not IRL or in real life. That dichotomy is really a false dichotomy anymore. What happens online is real. And it used to be, going online was an activity. Let me take you back about 20 years or so. I remember when we first got online, living in Connecticut, going online was a chore. We would start out by making this pronouncement: I am going online. And then I would go, the computer was in the living room, the phone was in the kitchen. So I would go behind the computer and pull out this long phone cord, walk it out to the kitchen, take the phone off, plug the cord in, go on, and there was that awesome sound that those of you who are young in the room probably don't know, of a modem dialing up. You can find it on the internet. They still have recordings of it. And then I would go on and you've got mail, or whatever it was that you had. And the thing about it is that then you would be online for a while, and then the moment you got off, the phone would ring, and there's Mom. Is everything okay? Why? Well, your phone was busy for 2 hours. No, sorry, I was online. And you couldn't make those calls. Well, now we don't go online anymore. We are online. Right now, I look at the updates. I've gotten a Facebook message, a phone call, and a text message, at least one of each. I can see, I don't know what they are, and I'm not going to be rude and check on it right now. But, we are online, especially if we have smartphones. And even if your computer at home, you're always online. When I was trying to explain to my mom when we moved them from dial-up to, DSL, the fact that your computer's always online, that sort of worried her, because, Uncle, Big Brother is like looking at her house or something as far as she's concerned, because, that's always happening. But, we're living our lives online. Couple statistics, that to think about. First of all, Facebook has over 1 billion active users. Active user, people who log in, more than just once every 6 months. Social media is pervasive. It's ubiquitous. It's there. Okay, a couple other statistics for you. 53% of people on Twitter recommend products in their tweets. These are things that you need to think about as people who are marketing and trying to sell things. 53% of people who use Twitter will at some point say, hey, I like this product. Not in so many words. They may show a picture, that they tweet out from Instagram and from Twitter of a rug in, their house. Or if you're like me, of a meal that you're eating at a restaurant. For those of you who hate people posting pictures, don't follow me. I love pictures of food. I live vicariously through other people's pictures of food. 93% of shoppers' buying decisions are influenced in some way by social media. Okay? Social media does play a big role in the decisions that we make when we buy products and go shopping. Oops, I went backwards here. When you look at how people use their smartphones and tablets, and this is from 2 years ago, so the numbers are probably higher, 6% of smartphone users conduct their most recent mobile retail search in a store. And it's probably higher. You've probably seen people in your stores doing research, looking at things. If you're going to be spending a lot of money, several $1,000s on a rug, that's not an impulse purchase for most people. There's research that goes into it. They're going to do price comparisons and all sorts of things. Some people will buy only from you because they only want the fair trade. They want, the best possible rug. And there was the question earlier about, using the term Oriental rugs. Well, when someone goes out for an Oriental rug, some people don't care whether it's fair trade or not. Others do care. And for those who maybe don't care so much, they're going to do a lot more research because they want to find out where they're going to get the best price or things like that. 77% of smartphone retail shoppers ultimately make their purchases in store. They're doing research, but they're not necessarily purchasing online. They want to go, this is why I still own CDs and albums and things instead of downloading a lot of music. I do download music, but I'm a tactile person. I like to have the CD in my hand. And a lot of that's my age, but people like to come in and they want to look at the rugs, they want to feel them. They still may do research online, but they're going to come in and buy from you. And there's a lot of other things. 50% of mobile users begin their retail shopping on mobile. On my way here, I did a quick, there was a detour. Thankfully, the detour signs were pretty clear, but I did go and I went in here and I looked for, 10,000 Villages effort. I made sure I was getting there the right way and wasn't going to get lost or anything like that. I'm not that far away, but I wasn't familiar with the detour. So there's a lot of things that people are doing, when they go online. 90% of consumers trust peer recommendations, only 14% trust ads. And this is the dirty little secret or the good little secret, I guess, about social media that you need to think about is that if you were to ask any of your customers how they found out about you, a large percentage, maybe 90-some%, are going to say word of mouth. Referral. Someone told them about you. Someone was in their house and said, or they were in someone's house and said, where did you get that rug? Or where did you get that cool clock? Or where did you get that drum? Whatever it is. And, oh, I got that from 10,000 Villages. Or I got this at that rug sale that they had, the special event that they had. That's how people find out about you. And it's word of mouth. And the cool thing about it is that's all social media is. Social media is where people go to be social. People don't come to social media to connect with you as businesses on Facebook. They go to social media to connect with you as individuals because they're your cousin, your friend, your classmate, your coworker, whatever it is. They want to connect with you and be social. That's word of mouth. So when I go on Facebook and post a picture of a meal that I've had, I was in Cleveland a couple of weeks ago with my son. He has this really interesting hobby that's quite expensive, and he better get a good job. He likes to go to baseball games, wherever they may be. So we drove to Cleveland on a Saturday morning, went to a baseball game in the afternoon, and came back on Sunday. But while we were there were two particular food places that we wanted to go to because we had seen them featured, well, they were in an article, but featured by Adam Richman from Man vs. Food. We found these two restaurants, these two places for food, and you better believe I posted pictures. That's me promoting a restaurant saying, this is the best sandwich I've ever had. Check this place out when you go to Cleveland. A friend of mine was in Cleveland this weekend. She and her husband, they went to that same restaurant as a result of me posting the picture, 2 weeks ago. That's word of mouth, and it all happened on Facebook. These are people I never see. I never have any other communication with them other than Facebook, and that's how word of mouth works. A couple other statistics for you. Oh, well, word of mouth is those peer recommendations. If I say the best rug you're going to get or the best item you're going to get is from this particular place, you're going to listen to me as opposed to them putting an ad in the newspaper or somewhere saying, hey, come check out our rugs. Why? Because we trust our friends. I hope. We trust them, and we trust them on different levels. Some people, some friends I have, I trust their musical, knowledge or their musical recommendations because we have similar tastes in music. But I might not trust their recommendations on food. Other people, I might trust their recommendations on food. So we have this level of trust in our friends. 97% of consumers search for local businesses online, okay? The only people who don't like this are the people who sell the yellow pages. The yellow pages that, you know what that is? It's that book that when you have a kid and they can't reach the table, you put it under them. Many of you probably don't even have the yellow pages anymore in your home, or if you do, you don't even know where it is. Now, there is a certain segment of the population, people in my age and up, who still will, my parents love the yellow pages, but my mom is on the internet and she will, Google things. 97% of consumers are searching for local businesses online. They're looking for you online. 73% of them use search engines, which in most cases is Google. There's a few others out there that people use. And then 20% use social media or review sites, sites like Yelp or TripAdvisor or Facebook or Google Plus or some of these others. They're looking to find out what kind of reviews you get. So those are also statistics there that are out there. 41% when they go are looking for contact information. Make sure your contact information is as a big part of your online presence. I hate going to a website and not being able to contact you. I want a phone number. I want an email address. I want something. If I can't find it, there's a good chance I'm not going to do business with you. 18% want to know what you're offering. What is it that you sell, or what services do you offer? What are those things? They want to find out. That's why they're going there. 12% are reading reviews and researching. They want to find out what other people think about you and your business. Here's another thing, and this is why I love social media. The average American consumer is confronted with anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 ad impressions a day. From the time you get up to the time you go to bed, you're driving up and down the street, there's billboards and signs, there's the radio, there's television ads, there's the newspaper and magazines and all these other ads, and then the clothing that we wear. You might see me in a Phillies shirt sometime. Well, that's a form of advertising. How cool is it? Sports teams and bands have it great that we actually pay them to advertise for them. I'll pay you, and you go to a baseball game and you buy like an official MLB or NFL or some of these things. You pay a lot of money to advertise for them and to show that you are their fan. Those ads are everywhere, and yet we do two things. We don't like ads. We hate ads as consumers, which makes it hard for those of us who are marketing. Those of us who are consumers, we do two things. First, we sort of passively tune it out. When you think about it, at the end of the day, how many of those ads do we really remember? I mean, how often do you go home and say, I saw the best billboard today? Or you see a TV commercial and say, man, I hope I get to see it again next hour. It doesn't happen very often except during the Super Bowl, maybe. So we passively tune them out, but we've also learned to actively do things to tune them out. Many of us don't even subscribe. How many of you still subscribe to the newspaper? Okay, daily or every day or weekly? I get the Sunday paper. Okay, some people get daily, but fewer and fewer people are subscribing to the newspaper. Here in Lancaster, we used to have 2 daily newspapers. We have 1. The 2 of them merged together now, and it's actually thinner than the 2 individual ones were a while ago. Subscription rates are down, advertising is down, the whole thing. People aren't buying the newspaper as much as they used to. So those ads aren't getting the eyeballs that they used to. Television, a lot of us DVR TV programs because we want to watch them on our own terms without commercials. We can fast forward through them. A lot of us subscribe to digital radio, or we just plug in our iPod or MP3 player, whatever it is, or have CDs rather than listening to commercial radio, which my background's in radio, and that hurts me. I still have a love for radio, but we don't get commercials when we listen to satellite, which is a beautiful thing. Commercials are those things where you change the station if you're still listening. And same with television. That's when we get the remote out or go to the kitchen and check out the fridge when the TV commercial comes on. We don't want to be sold to. Social media, we need to approach it from the social media mindset, not the mindset, and I've had a lot of clients over the years who it's the moment they see social media, you can see them salivating because it's like, ooh, here's one more place to send my message out and market and get my ads on there. That's not really what social media is about. You're entering a realm where people are to be social. And if all you do is spam them, and that's what people think about with ads, you're going to be in trouble because a lot of those people don't want to see those ads or something that looks like an ad. So you've got to find a way to get your message out that's a more social way of doing it rather than looking like an ad. Social media, is not just a marketing thing, it's a customer service thing. Jenny told me a story earlier about how there was something with coffee and someone was saying, hey, you ought to carry this fair trade, this coffee or whatever. And within a day, that business, they listened to what the person was saying, and very quickly they were carrying that coffee that was suggested. Social media is about customer service. 82% of consumers say they stopped doing business with a company due to poor customer service. Rude staff, not resolving issues in a timely fashion, unknowledgeable staff. One of the things, I've been working at TELUS 360 for about a year now. One of the things we're really working on is customer service, and that's both online and offline in our pub. And I want to make sure that I am not rude when I'm online dealing with people, and that I resolve issues and I answer questions and I have the knowledge. If I don't have the knowledge, I can very easily say, you know what, I don't know, but let me find out for you. And I've had to do a lot of that lately in terms of that. Why do people continue to do business with you? Because you're friendly, you give them a personalized experience, you have a good reputation, and they can easily find your information to help. And that's both online and offline. So make sure on your social media presence you're providing good customer service. Even when things are bad. Now here's the problem. The building where I work, we have had some customer service issues. You can go to Yelp and you can say, by the way, I really, really, really dislike Yelp. We get really good reviews on Facebook. We get really good reviews on TripAdvisor and Google. Yelp is apparently where people who have no life and hate everything in life go to write reviews. And I apologize if any of you write reviews on Yelp, but Yelp is where the disgruntled people are. And I've had people write reviews, and they'll give you a 2 or a 3-star review, some of it for really crazy things. I actually had one client that I was working for is a restaurant, and someone wrote a really bad review of them on Yelp. Well, it was a 2-star review or a 1-star review. I don't remember what it was. Well, if I just looked at it and said, oh man, there must be something wrong with that restaurant. Well, I read the review. The complaint was our baby needed the diaper changed, and they wouldn't allow us to change the baby's diaper at the table. Well, to me, that's a 5-star review, because I do not want someone changing their baby's diaper at the table right next to me while I'm eating food. So you have to sort of read the reviews. Even when things go bad, when we get a bad review on Yelp or any kind of review, I try to respond as quickly as I can, and both privately and publicly. I want people to see that I'm responding, but I also want to make sure that we're winning people over. So 92% of people would go back to a company after a bad experience if they receive an apology. An apology is not an admission of guilt, by the way. It can be as simple as, we're sorry you had a bad experience. Contact us and let's talk about it. I do that all the time with people, because a lot of times it's not our fault. Some people love our food, some people don't like our food. Well, it's the same food. It might be a different experience because of the day they came, but we're working on that and we're building that. But people have different tastes in their food. 92% would go back to a company after a bad experience if they got a discount. I will often, not publicly, but privately, after I meet with them, say, here's a $25 gift certificate. Come on back. We'd like you to give us another chance. And $25 of free food and drink, that'll bring people back at least once, and hopefully we can do a better job and win them over. Also, if they're offered proof of enhanced customer service, I always tell people, we appreciate your comments because we want to learn and we want to grow. When we get bad reviews, or anybody gets bad reviews, the natural reaction is to sort of get your back up and get defensive, like, and complain about it. Well, you know what? We're not always right. I make sure that we listen and that we learn from things. If I have several people saying staff is rude, or several people saying your food was a little off or it came late and whatever, and we know what our issues are and we're working on them, and we know why we have those issues, but I want to learn from them, and we need to learn from those things that people say when they write things on Facebook. Those are all things that we need to do. I've had a lot of people say, we tried Facebook, we tried social media, and it didn't work. Well, what do you mean you tried? When it comes to social media, I think most failed efforts are pretty much the same. It's not that social media doesn't work, it's just that those in charge are generally guilty of some form of neglect. We spend a lot of time and effort on all sorts of marketing and communications campaigns, but somehow social media comes last. Social media suffers from neglect, and then I hear, I guess it doesn't work. No, you just let it die. I actually had a client who after 2 months, and 2 months is not a long time, walked away from me because social media didn't work. Let me tell you a little bit about this client. He sold items that ranged on the low end, and those of you who sell these items can appreciate this, on the low end, $5,000 to $10,000. On the high end, $400,000 or $500,000. And he didn't see any direct correlation between his Facebook presence and selling these items. And these items are items that are very specialized for a very specific audience. None of us in this room, even if we had the money, would purchase these items because it's not what we do. It's a very specific profession. It's not that social media doesn't work. It's that you have to approach it right. And social media isn't, I post on Facebook, I sell 5 rugs. You know, it doesn't always work that way. The correlation isn't always there, but there is a path that takes place. Just remember, social media doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's part of your overall marketing and communications plan. It's one of the tools that can be used, whether you're using Facebook, a blog, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, you know, any of those things. They all work together along with what you're doing in the store, what you're doing in the newspaper, the yard signs that you might be putting out there. It all works together. The word of mouth, those are all things that will work together in order to get you there. So those are some of the things I wanted to make sure I leave you with. And I have some things, you know, to talk about here that Jenny specifically, we had some conversations about, you know, some things that I thought you could learn from in terms of Facebook. And I can show you our Facebook page and some of the things we do, but some Facebook and social media best practices, things that I think you could probably benefit from. First off is the power of your staff and volunteers. When I first started, you know, years ago working in social media with clients, I was shocked at how many people created a Facebook page but never asked their employees to, like the Facebook page, or share the things that they have. Get all of your employees and volunteers and whoever else you have to like your Facebook page. Here's the thing. Word of mouth only works if there's someone on the other end of the word of mouth and you can get people talking. So get your existing customers, get your staff, get your volunteers online and get them in the habit of clicking the like button when you post or sharing your post. So if you have a rug event coming up and you create an event, have your employees and volunteers share it. Because here's the cool thing is, by virtue of being employees or volunteers at your store or organization, their friends and family have a vested interest in the success of your store. Because they're their friends. If I work at TELUS 360, my friends and family, they want to support TELUS 360 because they want me to keep my job and they want it to be successful and they have a connection with it. Not only that, because you and your staff and volunteers work at your particular stores, that means they have a particular mindset, a particular way of thinking about the world that's probably very fair trade friendly and very much in favor of the kind of things that go into making these rugs. Well, we tend to travel in circles of like-minded people, so a lot of your friends and their friends feel the same way. It's just like when you look at the political discussions that go on Facebook, 9 times out of 10, people are preaching to the choir. Because if you have a particular political bent, the large majority of your friends probably have that same political bent. So you're not like, you know, you think you're making some great political statement. Well, everybody who's listening pretty much feels the same way except for that one annoying guy. And you may be that annoying guy. But, which is why I don't talk about politics online. But the thing is, if you're into fair trade, there's a good chance your friends are into fair trade. And the mindset that goes along with that. So think about the power of your staff and volunteers. Encourage and urge your staff and volunteers to like your Facebook page, follow you on Twitter, subscribe to your blog, follow you on Instagram or Pinterest or whatever it is that you're doing, and then urge them to share, whether you're sharing blog posts or whatever. If they can click that like button, if they can click the share button, whatever it is, that's extending the reach. You know, the goal, you know, the magic word for being online is going viral. Well, it doesn't go viral unless people don't start the ball rolling. You know, if you have that snowball, you build a snowman, you don't just put together a big wad of snow. You take a small snowball. That's why it's called the snowball effect. And you roll it until it gets bigger and bigger. That's what you want to happen on Facebook and social media. You want to get the retweets and the shares and the pins and everything else that's going on. Secondly is the power of tagging. Jenny mentioned earlier about, I think it was a Canadian organization that tagged some restaurant or something, and it got the restaurant excited because, oh, someone tagged them. You know what? When you're doing things and you have people that you're involved with and other businesses that you're partnering with, tag them. Mention them in there, because what happens is if I post something on TELUS 360, the only people who see that are people who like TELUS 360, you know, and not even all of them will see it because the algorithm dictates that only a small percentage will see it. But if I tag Bunyard Rug Room or 10,000 Villages or something like that, not only do my fans see it, but some of their fans have a better chance of seeing it. So I'm extending my reach. Yes.
This might sound stupid, but I don't go on Facebook all that much.
Okay.
This is a learning experience, and I didn't understand what tagging
Okay.
was. I think you just explained.
Well, tagging is basically not just mentioning other business, but if you, Facebook, usually if you start typing another name, it'll pop up that you can actually, it makes it like a link to their Facebook page. Or you can start with the @ sign and type @Bunyard, okay? And then it tags them. So for the same thing, with when you're doing a rug event, tag Bunyard, because it brings a lot more people in. You can tag 10,000 Villages. You can tag other organizations that you're involved in. You can tag, you know, the coffee company or other stores or restaurants that you might be doing events with. With a Children's Day that's coming up, they're probably involved with a number of other, you know, vendors or organizations. Tag them. It spreads the word. It's a wonderful thing, and it's super easy to do.
So it shows up on their.
It'll show up as a connection on their page as well. Now, one caveat on tagging is only tag if it's if you have a reason to tag. We had a local businessman, thankfully he has stopped it, where he would tag every business around that had absolutely nothing to do. He just wanted these people to know that, hey, I'm having a sale. Doesn't work that way. Tag them if there's a reason. I'm not going to say, you know, hey, I'm speaking at the Kiwanis Club tomorrow at Bunyard. I would tag them because I am speaking here, okay? I'm not going to tag them if there's no connection or no real reason to do that. So, you know, think about the power of tagging.
And I think this is something that I see some stores doing and some stores not doing. Some stores, when they're saying, hey, we're so excited, our Bunyard rugs are almost here, we can hardly wait, this is an annual event, they come to us from 10,000 Villages in Africa. And they make all these links so that your customers see that it is a much larger thing. And if your customers want to read about Bunyard right there and then, they follow that little thing and go over to our Facebook page and maybe read what we've been talking about, a new shipment coming in, where else we're going. I also then see that you've written about us. And many times that's how I know you're out there writing, and I will then share it over the Bunyard page, sometimes the Efna page, sometimes many other places of just, hey, look what's going on in Cincinnati this week, da 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 da. And it really is effective, but I don't have a lot of you tagging us yet. So if you need hands-on help with tagging, see myself or Heike or Nancy or quite a few of our staff afterwards will happily walk you through a couple creative ways to do that.
All right. Next thing, the power of posting often. Here's the thing. There's this fear of posting something and fearing that if I post too much, I'm going to annoy people. Well, yes, that can happen if you post too much in a row. But on Facebook especially, understand that when you post, let's say, TELUS 360, we have 11,300 and some fans, or somewhere in that range. Any post that I give, any given post that I do, I've got posts that, you know, it'll tell you on Facebook how many people it has reached. I've got posts that only reach 87 people, or posts that only reach 1,000 people, or whatever. If I post the same thing several hours later, that's not a big deal, because there's a good chance that I'm reaching different people. Yeah, there'll be some people who see both, and you may annoy one or two people or whatever, but odds are you're going to reach a different audience. So I always tell people when I'm asked how often should you post a day, minimum once a day, but I would say if you can do 3 or 4 posts throughout the day about different things, that's a wonderful thing. There's days I'll post 6 or 7 times because we have so much going on. And it's hard for me to get everything in, without really posting about a lot of different things. You know, post early and often and post at different times of the day. And if you're only posting once a day, do not post the same time every day. Because a lot of people, they get in the habit of, when I first get to work, I'll do that post in the morning, and they think it carries them through the day. Well, if I log on at 3 p.m., I'm not going to see your post if you posted at 9 in the morning. So if you go on a Monday, oh, I'll post at 9 o'clock. Well, Tuesday, maybe do it at 3 o'clock. A lot of times what you want to do is post in the evening. Think about who your customers are. A lot of your customers, by nature of the cost of these things, I'm hoping they have jobs unless they're independently wealthy. You know, so a lot of them are at work during the day, and maybe they're not allowed to go on Facebook or the internet to do things like that during the day. So post in the evening when they get home from work and maybe they're sitting down to get on Facebook. You know, a lot of that comes down to knowing who your customers are, what the demographic is and the type of people they are, and when they log on. And Facebook has some tools to help you with that. And you also can, you know, flat out ask your customers. When someone comes in and buys a rug or some stuff from you, say, you know, hey, by the way, just out of curiosity, when do you normally log on to Facebook? There's nothing wrong with that. That's called market research, and it's real easy, it's cheap, it's free. You just ask them the question flat out. It's not scientific in any way, but if someone's in your store, you know they're your customer. Ask them, when do you normally, and matter of fact, I would also ask them, what social media platforms do you use? You know, do you use Pinterest? Do you use Instagram? Do you use Twitter, Facebook? That might help guide a little bit what platforms you're on, because you don't have to be on every platform. I would never tell anybody to be on every platform. I'm on a lot of platforms, but I use them different ways. Instagram and Pinterest are great because they're image driven, and we talked about the power of images earlier. There's another platform, and I've got a sheet I can hand out with some of these things, called Houzz, that I think would be perfect for you guys. Houzz. It's like Pinterest, but for people who are, it's where you can go and you can do like, connect with interior designers and builders and architects and things like that. It's where people, yeah, here's the thing. Pinterest is like a wish list. Pinterest is not, you know, I have a food Pinterest board. I haven't eaten everything on that food board, but it's where I store recipes that I would like to get to. It's like a wish list. It's not everything that I'm going to do. My daughter on Pinterest has a board for her wedding, okay? My daughter's not getting married anytime soon. There's not even a guy in the picture, okay? The other thing about my daughter's wedding, if you look at Pinterest, you would think that maybe I make $3 million a year. I can't afford one single item on that wedding Pinterest board that my daughter has. And not only that, she's got like 7 wedding dresses on there. Last time I checked, you can only wear one at a wedding. I guess you could change, you know, do it like they do on the Grammys and all the awards where they run off the stage and get a costume change. My daughter's not going to do this. She's got a very small, simple wedding. But it's like a wish list. Houzz is where some of the more serious people are, the people who are maybe closer in that purchase process and more likely. So think about using Houzz as a way of, you know, showing off some of the products that you have and how they would fit in a home and things like that. So on Facebook, post often. Don't be afraid, you know, to post. And you will get, I get people who say, I had one of my employee or coworkers come in and say, you know, someone told me, you know, that we're posting too often on Facebook. I'm like, you know what? Let me show you the numbers. Here's the number of likes. We get like maybe 1 or 2 people a week who unlike us. I don't care about that. If I have 20 people dropping off in a day, then maybe I'll wonder about it and, you know, see what's going on. But for the most part, post often. People want that information that you have. This is one that I love with social media, the power of the last minute. We are a music venue. A lot of people don't make their decisions on what they're doing tonight or tomorrow night until that day. We have very busy lives. And it's like, well, little Johnny's soccer game got rained out. I'm going to go to Tele 360 and see the band Nappy Rhythm play some, you know, reggae music. You know, whatever it is, people make a lot of last minute decisions. So don't feel like, oh, I put my Facebook event up 3 weeks ago, that's going to keep going for you. You have to keep posting and posting up to the last minute. Matter of fact, I would say it's not just the last minute. Keep posting throughout. I may get this wrong, but I feel like recently Jenny did something. They had an event here where they were posting videos throughout whatever the event was as it was happening. As your event's going on, post it. Get some excitement going and say, hey, this is where you want to be. One of the things I'm training the staff at Tele 360 is that when we have a band playing, I'm not always there because I do a lot of daytime work, so I don't go every night and see, you know, bands playing unless I really, really want to. But the guy who loads the bands in and some of the other guys, I'm trying to get them in the habit of, you know what, when the band is sound checking, a photo or an Instagram video, a short little video of the band sound checking is a great way of getting people in there. Say, oh man, this band's really, you know, good. You want to come out tonight? It's that last minute or even at the beginning of a concert. If I'm there, I will post pictures and say, this is what's happening now. There's still time to get down here. And we get people in that way. So it's not just the last minute, but while it's happening, keep posting.
The event he was referencing was the Ephrata tent sale. I didn't just post often. I was posting every 20 minutes to half hour. So the fact that he remembers that I posted some videos, oh my God, some videos. It was obscene, but he wasn't pissed off.
You were posting obscene videos?
What's that one? Let me rephrase. Seriously, I mean, and we had a lot of customers that said I wasn't gonna come out, but man, I saw you ran through, you did this, you did that, and I just decided I had to. So a lot of last minute decisions.
Or called in and bought things over the phone.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you know, we did an event 2 or 3 weeks ago. Our owner, who is from Ireland, has traveled to Nepal, and we have a number of people there. We've taken tours to Nepal, you know, through these people. We did an event, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, that was a benefit, an all-day Saturday benefit for Nepal. Well, it happened to be the day I was in Cleveland, and we did well. But if I had been there that day, we would have had posts and things throughout the day saying, hey, we've got these dancers, and we've got this band, and we've got this food from these restaurants, we've got this and that. I would have posted a lot of stuff today, and it would have generated a lot more interest, I think. And we did have a lot of interest. We raised over $30,000 that's going directly to the people of Nepal as a part of, you know, that benefit. But if I had not been in Cleveland that weekend, I would have been posting. But it was a very last minute, you know, decision to do this benefit. It was put together in 2 weeks' time. I didn't have a chance to be there. The power of event listings. Facebook events are wonderful because they allow you and your staff and friends to invite their friends and other people to it and generate that interest. It gives you another place to post. It gives you another thing to share and for other people to share. And again, don't just post it a month in advance or 3 weeks or however long in advance and let it go. You know, things will die of neglect. You have to keep posting, you have to keep sharing, you have to keep reminding people and giving them good content. It's a great place to tell your stories. It's a wonderful thing to do. So, you know, the event listings on Facebook can be powerful if you use them. Get that RSVP list, and you know, I look at my Facebook newsfeed and so-and-so is going to an event. That's how I found out about the event. Not because the event was posted, but because someone I know is going to the event. You got to cultivate it and let it go through. Power of boosting posts. I have a confession to make. It took me a long time to pull the trigger on actually spending money on Facebook. I am the product of the 2 cheapest people on the planet. I never bought lunch at school, always brown bagged it, used the same brown bag, I think from 3rd grade through 9th grade. Was kind of ratty by the end. My mom had to let it go and give me another one. My mom was the type, still is the type, that would rinse the plastic, you know, wrap off of something and clean it, or the Ziploc bags. I've learned a lot of these really bad traits. I don't save wrapping paper. I hate that we actually use wrapping paper, but I'm not the kind to take it off neatly and fold it and use it. All of the ribbons and bows that we use are pretty tattered and torn because we use them over and over again. I went down to visit my mom. My parents retired to North Carolina. They've since re-retired up here, not too far from here. But when we visited them in North Carolina, she handed me a box. I was like, what is this? And she was like, this treasure box. She goes, this is for you. Oh, I get a present. I opened it up. In that box was every blasted Mother's Day, Father's Day, anniversary, Christmas, Easter card, or whatever it was that we had ever sent them. And she said, I don't want you spending money on new cards. We don't remember any of what's in here. Just pick one out and send it back to us. This is my mother. And she had, when my parents are gone, I'm going to write a book about this. She had a name for it. She called it reincarnation. And I think she needs to patent it. Don't steal it from me. I'm going to put it in a book. But all that to say, my parents are really cheap, and I've learned that. I hate spending money on anything. Facebook posts can be done very inexpensively. You could do a $20 post that's going to give you a really nice reach. I am thankful that at TELUS 360, I have an owner who understands this. I'll spend 100 here, 100 there, 100 there. I mean, I spend some good money on posts. The reach that we get from that is incredible, and you can target the reach. You can actually, and I'm sure Jenny's done some of this here, when I have, like tonight, we have a bluegrass band playing. Carolina bluegrass band that's got a reputation. They're called Town Mountain. People love them. And I did that, but I didn't just throw it out on Facebook. I had options. I could go just to the people who like us. I didn't want that option. I could go just to the people who like us and their friends, maybe. But then I wanted to target a little better. So I targeted a certain demographic, a certain region, and what I do for the region on certain ones was I said, anybody within 25 miles of Lancaster, anybody within 25 miles of York, Harrisburg, Reading, Philadelphia, Baltimore, because I know where we get our audiences from. And for bluegrass, we pull from a lot of different areas. And then I put down bluegrass music, because I want people who self-identify as bluegrass fans. You're not going to get me if you post bluegrass. I'm not a big bluegrass fan. But I know there are people who are bluegrass fans, and I want to target them. I targeted a few radio stations, public radio stations, that maybe play a little bit of bluegrass, but maybe if they don't play a whole lot of bluegrass, I know that bluegrass listeners probably are more likely to be public radio fans. And public radio, I would say, if you have public radio and TV in your area, I would do that when you're targeting Facebook ads, because people who have the mindset of fair trade and of what it is that's trying to be done through 10,000 villages and Bunyad tend to be public radio listeners and public television viewers. You know, they're not watching Fox News. They're not listening to Beyonce a whole lot. Some of you probably do. But the idea is that you want to find the best possible audience. If I'm going to reach, for $100, it may say you're going to reach 30,000 people. If I'm going to reach 30,000 people, I want the right 30,000 people. And I can show you in here in a little bit sort of the reach I get from one of these posts. I don't even know what time it is. I'm going long. I got to stop here soon. Almost done. But don't be afraid to spend a little money. And I would especially, I don't know what your philosophy is, but when I spend money, I usually spend it in that final week leading up, because I'm 53 years old, I forget things. If I RSVP to an event a month ahead of time, 30 other things happen in the meantime, and I forget that I did that, unless I bought a ticket where I spent a lot of money on it, which is rare. But I like to have it in that last week. What were you going to say about?
Last year, for the entire year, Bunyad put about $100 to $120 per rug event into boosting a rug event post, where we basically said we wanted to boost it in a certain geographic area around your store, depended on what region you were in terms of mileage, that had interest in, and we started with interest in 10,000 villages, interest in fair trade. And then we started watching the numbers. If we weren't getting a large enough segment, we'd add things in there, like for some reason level ground wouldn't come up, but equal exchange would. We put in your NPR station, and if we really wanted to go full Monty, we put in Whole Foods. And we boost it for pretty much about 3 to 4 weeks before your event. And did any of you tell me that, oh yeah, people said they saw it on Facebook? No, I wasn't really anticipating hearing that at all, but I did watch the likes and the shares go across quite nicely. And I felt very, very good about it. We're doing that right now here at Ephrata with a children's festival boost post that is targeting, again, another subset. At the max we're spending on it, it's $100. We're doing it for a month. It has had incredible reach, and people who go, oh yeah, I forgot about that, that's great, but then they're also beginning to like our page.
So are you doing that for rug events this year?
I stopped this spring only because I was traveling at the beginning of spring and didn't get on it. I am going to keep started back up in fall because it was working.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. If you spend $100, if that only brings one person in who buys a rug, you've paid for it, when I do it, the first time I ever spent any money on a boosted post was for a concert. A particular concert was a high ticket. We have a lot of free concerts, but we have $10. We had one that was like a $20, $25 ticket. And I did a post, and within the first day, I spent $100 on it. Within the first day, I sold probably $500 worth of tickets that I knew I could directly relate to that thing. Well, no brainer. So that's why I do it. It doesn't always work the same way every time. And a lot of times I'm guessing. you know, on the audience and things like that. But, you know, tonight the band Town Mountain, well, I put Town Mountain in there as one of the things. So I might put, I didn't do this, but I could pick, you know, maybe if there's other more famous bluegrass bands, I might put fans of, you know, Alison Krauss or Sam Bush or some of these others in there, only because I know that maybe fans of that might like this kind of music. So the power of cultivating and growing your audience, and this is sort of something that Jenny was talking about, getting people to like it. I'm going to show you this on Facebook in a minute. There is a little trick that you can use on Facebook to get new fans that you might not normally get. Because generally when you have a Facebook page, you can't go out and get people to like it other than your own friends, like by sharing and asking your friends to like it. But there is a little trick that we've discovered through a friend of mine that's going to help you do that, and I'll show you that in a minute. I'm not going to worry about any of that stuff. Let me go over real quick to the Facebook page. And
as an anecdote, with the 10,000 Villages Ephrata Children's Festival, we've done this this little trick, and in one half day, 1 3/4 of a day, I saw the Ephrata page grow by about 25 to 30 different likes.
Yeah.
Not just the post, the actual page likes.
Let me see if I can find a good example here. Okay, this one here. I went too far. Here in Lancaster County, we have a very, very large sports complex called Spooky Nook, which happens to be the home of the U.S. women's field hockey team. The team that's playing at the Olympics is stationed here. Well, because we are an Irish pub, we have a connection to Ireland. The Irish national team is in town this week playing the U.S. team. The U.S. team actually beat them in the first two. But we hosted a dinner on our roof last night for both teams, and we're sponsoring a trophy for teams. So I posted this picture last night. I wasn't there, by the way. I'm not there a lot in the evening. This guy here, that's Donald Lally. Donald is also from Ireland. He is one of our bar managers. On the other end, way on the other end is Kevin, sort of in there. You can see Kevin is also from Ireland, Kevin O'Mahony. And they're from different parts of Ireland, but we're a legitimate Irish pub. We actually have Irish bartenders, you know, people from Ireland with great accents that the women love. But Donald made sure this picture was sent, and he texted it to me. I'm sitting on the couch at home watching the Phillies, okay? So I'm not always there, but I'm still doing things. And we reached 1,600 people with that, not boosted, just organically reached 1,600 people, which is a great number. But you'll see so-and-so, 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 and 38 others like this, okay? Whenever you get to the point where enough people like it and it says, and X number of others like it, this little trick falls into place. Because what you do is you go down and you click on this, okay? And it'll pull up the names of all the people who liked it. And this shows you the people who already like it. But if you scroll down, I'm betting, and I'm just doing this as an example, and hopefully it doesn't prove me wrong, that there's people who liked it who don't like Tell Us 3. Oh, this one right here. Lynn Ford Lopez saw it because someone else liked it, but she doesn't like the Tell Us 360 page. Well, she now has a connection to us because she saw something. So I can invite her, and she's going to invite saying, Tell Us 360 has invited you. That's an actual physical page. Here's someone, oh, Jessica, I don't want that one. Leave it down. Jessica Long, I want to invite her to like it. Rachel Dawson. So these people, and if you do this on a regular basis, you're going to get these people, or a number of them, to like your page. And you can find it. This also works really well, and let me go up top here, with I'll go to manage ads. I'm going to show you the ad. If I can find the ad that I did for Town Mountain, I can show you some of the, Facebook likes to change things on you. I don't want to do that.
I think to me that's been the rewarding part of knowing that when I am boosting a post, I know I'm going to get automatically more likes, so I'm going to have this added benefit. But when I boosted all the posts last year for your events, it was done on our page. So then when they liked it because it was going out over your channels to your demographics, I had a better ability to reach into your clientele when you weren't tagging us, and to be able to say, hey, how about liking us too? How about liking us too? And we saw our page grow.
I mean, you look at this first ad here. It says post Thursday night, whatever. That's the ad for Town Mountain. I spent, if you look over here, it says $150. I don't spend that a lot, but we were not selling as many tickets as I wanted to, so I wanted to get out there. 587 is your results. That's post engagement. 587 people either liked it, commented on it, or shared. They did something. Okay, they engaged with that post. That's more than I would normally get. I reached 25,000 people. Now, mind you, we only have 11,000 fans, but I reached 25,000 people with that. That cost per engagement was, even though I spent $150, it was 26 cents. You can't even get a cup of coffee for 26 cents. Okay, so I got really good reaction. You can see down here, you know, here's one I spent $100 on, reached 19,000 people. Another one reached 30,000 people, and all kinds of engagements. And you know, if you look at those, you can actually see with that a lot of people. And my feeling is, on this Town Mountain, if I go to that Town Mountain post and all the likes that I got, there's going to be, you know, probably well over a couple hundred likes. A lot of those people don't like TELUS 360, but you know what? If they like Town Mountain and the kind of music we have there, they probably would like a lot of the other stuff we do. So I'm going to go and I'm going to invite them the way I just showed you and get a lot more people to like my page because they have that same sensibility and mindset. And for you guys, this is perfect because people, you know, who react and respond to what it is that you're showing, the content, the stories you're telling, the articles you're sharing from the blog at 10,000 Villages or Bunyad or whatever, people who like that are going to want to like your page. You just have to let them know they want to like your page. So you can invite them by doing that. Two other things I want to tell you. I do have a handout for you as well. One is the power of listening. When people comment on my Facebook page or Twitter or whatever, I always respond. Always. Even if it's, hey, this is great, I'll be like, thank you, we think so too, or something. Or I'll like their comment. You know, that's the minimum I'll do. I always respond. And the beauty of this thing here, some of you might call it a curse, but the beauty of this is that even while I'm sitting on my couch watching the Phillies at night, I get a notification. So earlier while Jenny was speaking, I got a notification that someone posted a question on our Facebook wall. I took the time to respond. It took me 3 minutes. My son, my one son who's 23 got married actually at, well, the reception was at TELUS 360 in a room on the very busiest day of the year. It was the Sunday before St. Patrick's Day where we shut down the street in front of the building and joined with another Irish pub to have a huge street festival. The reception was in the building, so we're in one room. Outside on the other side of the room are several hundred people dressed in green who had way too much to drink. While the wedding reception is going on, everybody in the reception's on their phone because they're posting pictures of the bride and all that stuff. I got a notification and someone asked a question about the event. So I was the bad father. And during the wedding, while everybody's doing things related to the wedding, I actually responded in about a minute to a question that someone had about the event. So I was working during my son's wedding reception. Not the best thing you want to do all the time, but this gives you the ability to do that. And it wasn't like I took an hour and was working. It was less than 2 minutes for me to do that. So while this is an interruption, it's something that's important. Someone had a question. If I waited till after the wedding, their question would have gone unanswered. They didn't know that the person who runs Facebook for TELUS 360 was sitting in a wedding reception. They just know that TELUS 360 is open and someone should be responding to them. And I don't like any question to go unresponded. So someone asked a question today about our yoga on the roof. We do our green roof. We actually do yoga every Saturday morning. Someone asked a question. So earlier I sat and I answered her question and gave her, it might not be the answer she wanted, but I gave her an answer to that question because people expect a response. People want to know that there's a living, breathing person on the other end of Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is that you're doing. So that's the other thing you want to do is, you know, listen to what people are saying. And I also use some tools. And by the way, this thing that I hand out, almost all the tools that are on here are free because, again, I'm cheap. Some of them have premium versions you can pay for. But I use a number of tools that make sure anytime anyone writes a review on Yelp, Facebook, anywhere else, I get a notification of it because I want to respond quickly, whether it's a great review or a horrible review. And so listen and engage with people when they do because they want to make sure that they're being listened to, and people want their questions answered. That's part of the whole customer service equation. That's what I have. I don't know if Jenny has anything else she wants me to cover, or if you have any questions you want answered. The food smells really good, and that's really why I'm here. Not because Jenny invited me. I knew there was going to be some good food from Tulsi. But if you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
And when he says he responds quickly, last year he brought his wife and daughter along to the presentation, and my greeting to his wife was, don't you want to kill him sometimes? Because I will text at different times through Facebook, through direct text, through email, and I usually will get a response under 6 minutes. Now, some of these times I know he has to be eating dinner. And his wife goes, yeah, we're trying to keep a rule that the phone doesn't come to the table, but I'm sort of losing on that one. But seriously, he is an awesome resource. He usually then gives himself a promo, which he didn't this time, to say, hey, like him on Facebook. It's Ken Mueller, M-E-U-L-L-E-R, or Inkling Media. He has a lot of great resources that are great to read. What I like about them is they're not, how to say this without not sounding good, they're easy reads. They're educational. But it's not like I have to sit and say, today I'm going to get a little bit more educated on how I can be doing some Facebook things better. I can go breeze through his blog pretty fast, zone in on what I'm interested or what he's sending out, and really get a nice info thing in about 5 minutes or less.
This is where I say, do as I say, not as I do, only because I used to blog every day. Since I've been working at Telos 360 a year, so I had my own business prior to that, Inkling Media, and I still have it sort of on the side. It is being neglected a little because I'm so busy with the work I'm doing for Telos 360. So my Facebook page doesn't have a whole lot of activity. My blog doesn't have a lot of activity right now, but I still blog there from time to time, and there's still a good archive of 5 years worth of blogging every day on there. So there's a lot of good information there. So don't expect me to constantly be updating. It doesn't happen. But Telos 360, if you like that stuff, we update it all the time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Awesome. One of the things that I want you to keep in mind as you're planning your rug event promotion, as you're thinking about should I be boosting a poster, should I not, is if you like various 10,000 Villages stores, if you like other businesses, think about how many times you're getting posts from them across your feed. I'm always amazed because every so often I'll go, I haven't heard anything from Pasadena. I like their page. Are they even saying anything about a rug event, or do I need to tell Nancy, hey, we have to, nudge Sam to start talking about the rug event? And I'm always shocked when I go to, let's say, a 10,000 Villages store, and you're doing what we're tickled to see, but it's not coming across my feed. And it's frustrating to me because I'm like, geez, I've said I liked you. I've said get notifications. I thought that's all I do so that I always hear from you. The boosting the posts, especially to even your existing group, I have found hugely useful because it's actually getting in front of them, and I know it, and I can do it for a really cheap sum of money. Now we are going to change gears, and we're going to go into the hands-on fun and eating. I expect a photo of the food, tagging Bunyad and Tulsi.
Pressure's on.
I know. All right, but so here are the gears. This is the end of the formal. I know some of you need to jet set out of here. Others have some time to hang around. Things we're doing. Food. Food is from Tulsi. It is our favorite Pakistani Indian restaurant in town. Yes, I'm so sorry. Before I talk about the wonderful food we have, I am going to say goodbye to our online folks, and thank you for joining us, and I'll try not to make you hungry now as I describe it. Thanks. So